Sports fans,
Sports lovers.
welcome back to another episode of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. Best games, best teams, best players, best stakes on Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. I'm your host today, Shabba, and I'm here again
Dops.
and we continue to turn our passion into purpose. So another packed week of VSPL action to break down as we cover the outstanding fixture from Game Week 13 between System 3 and Camdonia and the full slate of games from Game Week 15 before looking forward to Game Week 16 as the season is wrapping up. System 3 tightened their grip on the title, Bequia continue their survival push, and unfortunately for Avenues, their relegation has now been confirmed. Let's get straight into it. So we move on to the Game Week 13 makeup game, which saw System 3 take on Camdonia. Goals were scored by Zibian Cunningham, Javin Sutherland, Denzel Bascom for System 3. Kieran Pitt, Imani Miller, and Jamal Bishop scored for Camdonia. So absolute drama. Camdonia shocked the league leaders by racing into a 2-0 lead early through Kieran Pitt and Imani Miller before Zibian Cunningham pulled one back. Jamal Bishop restored the 2-goal cushion early in the second half, but System 3 fought back again through Javin Sutherland. Then controversy came late on as Camdonia felt the referee had blown the whistle for an infringement before allowing play to continue, with Denzel Bascom smashing home a dramatic equalizer in the dying moments, which really and truly the keeper should have done a bit better with as well. So a massive point for System 3, but heartbreak for Camdonia in the end there.
Yeah, absolutely robbed, bro.
Absolutely.
And after having this conversation about this referee, probably a week or two ago, we're here again. And I believe that, well, I said this off here, I think that we should have some sort of transparency, some sort of referee report as to what was the real decision, why did why did you make the decision you made? Let me hear what's going on, because I don't think this could continue further. It shouldn't continue further, and hopefully by next season it's cleaned up a bit. But yeah, it was a great going from Camdonia. I always felt that System 3 would come back into the game with the quality that they possessed. But Camdonia were really off to a good start, and they looked like they could have gotten more before System 3 responded. But
Speak about Luke. Luke had a great game.
fantastic, really and truly, and he really was almost on the street on the basketball court playing ball when he faced SM3, because he had a lot for the defender, and the defender really had no answers to Luke's question. So as I say, he has grown in confidence and in performances, and has been one of their best players for the season. So hard luck to them. I really think that the organizers need to double check what's going on with this referee.
No, most definitely. That was a baffling call, and we could see outrage. I want to use the word outrage in moderation, because it wasn't this big protest, but just in the context of Vincent and football, there's a certain set of people on, let's say, social media platforms that would usually discuss football, and this was a topic of conversation around the time that it happened, because there's no way that whistle blow, that means the game has come to a halt, and then the game is allowed to continue, and then the team go on and score after. That is obviously grounds for extreme frustration, and Coach Wilson and his team should definitely feel hard done by, because they put in a superb effort against the league leaders. It's the second time that this season they've scored multiple goals against them. They clearly, I won't say have figured them out, but they have a good counter for what System 3 has to offer in their own right. So shout out to Wilson for having his team very, very much prepared against the league leaders. They can have a strong argument for being the better team on the night as well. And they were definitely hard done by in the end. So a tough call that went against them, but a point that they will take nonetheless. So from a dramatic draw to the game that may have finally officially decided the title race. Hope International take on Awesome FC, and Awesome won by 3-2. So Valo Anderson scored twice, continuing his good form. Ode Cupid also scored twice for Awesome, and Sequan Millington also got one on the score sheet. So a very entertaining encounter. Ode Cupid gave Awesome the lead before Zeddy Millington doubled the advantage. Hope responded through Valor Anderson, but Cupid struck again shortly after. Valor scored again from the spot to make things tense, but Hope's frustration boiled over with Tevin Thompson and coach Paul Farrell both seeing red late in the match. So frustrations boiling over a bit for Hope as they are a bit closer to the relegation zone for comfort.
Yeah, too close to comfort, as you said, bro. This was a 6-pointer, I would say, because Awesome guaranteed their safety with this 3 points here as they move to 21 points. Hope on the other end would have wanted that 3 points or at least 1 point to keep a positive run going, and it's really looking sad at the moment because it seems like Bequia has the easier running, I would say, a more favorable running, and it could go down to the wire. And if Hope are to be relegated, it with the likes of Avenues, it might be one of the craziest seasons we've seen in St. Vincent and Grenadines football.
Most definitely. Credit to Awesome for solidating their place in the Premier Division for another season. They've been very impressive this year, with the likes of Enville and Williams and now Millington taking up the goal scoring mantle later on in the season, scoring I think in his last 3 games. Um, Awesome definitely deserve a shout out for the consistency they've shown over the last 2 seasons now. And as for Hope, they seem to have salvaged themselves a few weeks ago, but have now dragged themselves back into this dogfight with Bequia, who will get to shortly, and are in serious danger of also joining Avenues, as you mentioned, in relegation. So it will be interesting to see how they react. And we'll speak about their upcoming game this weekend shortly. But things certainly aren't looking positive for them, aside from the fact that Paulo Anderson seems to have reformed his goal scoring boots. So that is definitely something to build on. But the results certainly aren't or have in their favor. So 3 games to go. We'll see what ends up happening with Hope International. Meanwhile, Jebelle missed a big opportunity to gain ground. While Layou and System 3, the top two in the league, were facing off against each other, Jebelle had the opportunity to close the gap a bit, but were held by Camdonia Chelsea. So a frustrating night for Jebelle. Camdonia defended brilliantly throughout and nearly stole all 3 points as well. But Tristan John, goalkeeper of Jebelle, came up with a huge penalty save from Imani Miller. Nigel Charles for Camdonia was excellent at the back again as Chelsea secured another point. So thoughts on Camdonia frustrating Jebelle and basically punching them out of the title race?
Yeah, they punched them out of the title race. Have frustrated them, and over the last few weeks, we've been seeing this type of football from Chelsea. But recently they haven't been able to get over the line. As you said, penalty was saved late in the game. They could have gone on to get that was saved by Chelsea, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so it could have
Saved by Jebelle.
saved by
Imani Miller took the penalty
right.
from Chelsea.
So they could have gone on to get 3 points, and that 3 points as well could have, steered them a little clearer into safety. And but at the moment, this draw has, brought them back down into that fight as well with the likes of a Hope and Bequia as well. So we have 3 teams in there, and as much as Chelsea have been playing great football in recent weeks, they haven't been doing enough to get those 3 points. At the moment, they are in a position that they might have them a bit nervous.
Yeah, so Jebelle basically has not much to play for the rest of the season. Meanwhile, Camdonia will definitely still have to win at least a few more games just to ensure their position in the Premier Division next season. And there will be a very exciting game where that is concerned in next week's fixtures. So we move on to the game that basically decided the league as we mentioned earlier on. It was first versus second as System 3 took on Layou. So System 3 now sit 8 points clear at the top with 3 games remaining. So there is a total of 9 points remaining, and System 3 is leading by 8. So if you can do the math, System 3 doesn't need to do much in order to secure the league title. Shemron Phillips opened the scoring early before Azino Salomon converted from the penalty spot after missing one earlier in the match. Layou captain Kenija Joseph responded from the spot himself, but the leaders held firm to secure a massive victory. The result officially eliminates Jebelle from the title race, as we mentioned, and leaves System 3 with one hand and four fingers on the trophy. So, this is a match that I predicted exactly as well. I mentioned that the scoreline would be the same as the first round. So, just want to take a little bit of credit for that. So, what do you think of the game?
Oh,
Because before you go, in Orleans, before the score was 1-0 to System 3, I could remember the System 3 goalkeeper making a superb save from a Garrett Ledgerwood header that was, at point blank range, and that was a stunning save. One would have to say, we'll definitely have to dig up that and try to get that in the highlight package. But it was a stunning save. So Leo actually started very well, as I thought they would, but they didn't have enough in there.
Yeah, they needed a bit more, and it's a bit of what we've seen. As we said, sometimes they're a firecracker, and another time there are matches that you just blow out. And I think in this game against System 3, the task was a bit too much for them, as maybe an early goal might have set the tone for them, and they could have gone on to greater things. But I think because they lacked that decisive finish all the way up there, it kind of seal the move for the rest of the game. It wasn't as attacking as I thought it would be, given the talent on show. And I think System 3 did enough to come out with the victory as rightly so as champions would.
Yeah, not much to add. Leo put up a valiant effort, not just in this game, but throughout the season, one would have to say. But it just were outmatched by System 3's overall quality up front. Shamron Phillips is some player.
Mm-hmm.
One would have to say he is some player, and he definitely has a bright future ahead of him. He's a terror on the wing, can play on both sides, kicks with both feet, ability to cross and shoot, and he's adding goals to his game. So, one to look out for the future, not just for him personally, but hopefully for the Sylvanson national team, because he's a player I could see us utilizing some way, shape, or form. But System 3 are, champions elect at this point. We could all but crown them champions. They only require at least a point this weekend against their next opponent, which will be Nollywood Predators. So all praise and kudos to Coach Thaddeus and Azino Salomon and the likes, Javin Sutherland, who's also stepping up with crucial goals as well from defense, playing with a fractured finger as well. So shout out to Sutherland, who is certainly leading by example at the back. So elsewhere, the defending champions return to winning ways. Predators defeated Besco Pastures by 2-0 thanks to Gideon Richards and Cortland Williams. So Predators got the job done. However, Gideon Richards opened scoring in extremely controversial fashion, as Besco defenders appeared to have stopped expecting a whistle for a play that was on replay clearly a foul, in my opinion, with the linesman who was in closer proximity to the action than the actual official, who was not in camera shot, waved, waved, waved like he didn't Carnival Rags Invasion, and was ignored by his head official, which was Moet Games. And he allowed Gideon Richards to advance and score and give Predators the lead in the 6th minute. So another extremely controversial decision that obviously left Besco Pastures and their players upset and incensed, rightfully so, I would say. After that, the goal stood after discussion between the linesman and the official. Cortland Williams later sealed the result with a back post finish as Predators secured an important win. So, not on the game, but I obviously want to get your take on another controversial refereeing decision.
Yeah, it's just a bit more on what I said earlier. I would like to hear what Moet Moet has to say about his decision. He spoke to his linesman. It would be nice for us to hear what,
A senior linesman as well. Someone who
because
is very
he's been up
experienced.
for years. Yeah, so it was weird to me. From this is me giving Moet a benefit of the doubt, some benefit of the doubt. I believe if this is from his perspective, I believe that he probably saw it as a 50-50, a little tussle between the two guys, and didn't think much was in it, and didn't think he should accept the call from Seki. That's my that's my
Fair,
own
no,
logical
it is fair.
thinking, but yeah, this is the problem, we have this disconnect where the referee makes a decision, and then what? We at a loss, the coaches at a loss, the players at a loss. We have no clue what happened, and then
There's no explanation. There's no accountability. There is nothing.
the results just stand. If a team has to get relegated by such silly decisions, referees don't seem to be punished. Like, one referee made a mistake this week and come back the next week and does the same thing, and it's fine.
And this referee is supposed to be the best referee that we have to offer in the country as well. The fact that he overruled the decision of another senior referee, he basically made the game about himself. That's what he did there. He's saying, I am in charge and I am going to make this about me and I am going to let this goal stand. And that was much more of an equal thing to me, because if I'm sure that if the official looks at the replay of the play, he would on second thought call a foul, because it's most definitely a foul. You could see the Besco Pastures striker grabbing the arm of the defender Adams for Besco Pastures and preventing his progress. Then Gideon Richards, the ball fell right to his feet. By his surprise, it's Christmas for he scoring goal. He ain't hear no whistle. So fair enough to him, and fair enough for Predators for playing on. But to me, that was an egregious decision. I definitely have a problem with that decision, much more so than I did with the System 3-1, to be very honest, because it was a clear foul and the whistle should have been blown. And as you mentioned, these things could have led to like relegation um, and other serious consequences for teams. So I just hope we could get some clarity, some way of getting clarity, some sort of explanation, something, bro, because we can't just keep accepting those results. If someone never speaks or says something about it, then these things will just continue to happen, and no one will be ever held accountable. No one will ever be, asked to say, explain your decision and what was your thought process during that, because you have your linesman for that exact purpose. You don't have to run in that quadrant of the field to officiate something, because the linesman is there for that purpose. Your role should just be within the central parameters of the field and on the side where the linesman isn't. So, strange decision. Pastures were obviously, out of, they would have felt hard done by, and they never had a response throughout the game, and Predators marched on to victory. So we move on to the final fixture of game week 15, which saw Avenues United take on Bequia United. And Bequia United defeated them 3-0 thanks to a brace from Captain Mark Brown and Devin Ford. So Bequia's great escape is definitely alive. Captain Mark Brown, as I said, led from the front with 2 first-half goals, and Devin Ford added a third to complete another massive victory for the Grenadines outfit. This result moves Bequia within 1 point of safety, and unfortunately for Avenues United, this defeat officially confirms their relegation from the Premier Division for next season. So, as we've mentioned throughout the season, potentially the biggest team or club in St. Vincent and Grenadines football in history has now taken the unfortunate step officially of being relegated from the Premier League. This has been long coming. It has just now been mathematically confirmed. So, not much to mention on avenues. They'll have a hard road back to the Premier Division. It's gonna be a tough fight down in the Tier 2 division against the numerous teams that are down there. It's going to be a different occasion for them having to play 2 p.m. games in Camden Park and 2 p.m. games in Chile, traveling to all over the country to play these games where they would have been so accustomed to playing in the Premier Division. So it's gonna be something new for them, and they'll have to be up for that challenge. But as for Bequia, what can we say about them?
And they are doing all the right things at the moment. The teams that we expect them to beat, they're doing it, and some of the teams that we are not expecting them to beat, like the Awesomes, they've have come out with 3 points. So at the moment, they look like they're doing everything in their power to stay up. And clinical captain Mark Brown looked like he's back to his best because he has a few goals in the last couple of weeks as well. So yeah, just shout out to Bequia, the Snags. There was another fellow I think crossed the ball to Mark Brown for easy tap in.
Probably Oliver, Jamal Oliver.
And he has been good as well for bits and parts of the season. So yeah, credit to Bequia for this little resurgence. This is what they need and a bit more to stay up, and hopefully for their sake they could do it. They could pull it off.
And that brings us to a wrap of game week 15 in the Vinci Soccer Premier League. We will move on to our match week awards, and we'll keep the team of Bequia, and I'll let Dopy do the honors.
Yeah, another massive performance in the survival race, back-to-back wins, and full belief at the perfect time. Bequia is our team of the week, and their captain, rightly so, Mark Brown, is our player of the week. 2 great goals, leadership, and composure when his team needed him the most.
So shout out to Mark Brown, who is no stranger to the Premier Division in St. Vincent and the Grenadines. This is another chapter to his legacy of playing in the Premier Division on what it's now known as the VSPL. And he's definitely leading his team by example up front, definitely not shying away from the moment. And if they are to survive, it will definitely be compliments the efforts of their captain, Mark Brown. So shout out to him for being the player of the week. And we move on to the table review. So System 3 are firmly in control of the title race. They are top with 38 points with a 47 goal difference after 15 games played. That is insane. They are now 8 points clear of second place Layou. Jebelle are in third on 28 points. We have the defending champions on 24 points in fourth. Awesome in fifth on 21 points. Besco Pastures in sixth on 19 points. Followed by Camdonia Chelsea, who are seventh on 17 points. Followed by Hope International with 14 points. Bequia and Avenues rounding up the bottom of the table. However, Bequia are only 1 point behind Hope International. And we look forward to game week 16, where we will give our predictions for the upcoming weekend's fixtures that will be played at the Brighton Technical Facility on Friday and on Sunday. So we'll first see Awesome FC take on Jebelle FC. In the last meeting, it was a goalless draw. So can Jebelle bounce back after dropping points against Camdonia?
No, bro. I feel like they would draw again. Drop another 2 points here. As we said, that they really don't have anything else left to play for. Awesome are also safe, so I believe it's a game that we won't see much in. It would end up in another draw. 1-1, I say.
Okay, I could also see this playing out into a draw because Jebelle basically cannot, they won't ever going to win the title, but they're now mathematically eliminated from that possibility. I could see, Tian and his staff looking to get some game time for some players who might not have gotten game earlier on in the season. They have a lot of youngsters. Awesome, I could see probably taking the game a bit more serious to say. Both teams would obviously still want to win, but I could see Awesome getting a 1-0 victory here. Nothing much in it. Move on to the game of the weekend, most definitely, or one of the two games of the weekend, I would say, where we would see Camdonia Chelsea take on Bequia United. So the last matchup, Camdonia won 5 goals to 1. But this is a completely different Bequia team. I would say it's probably the same Camdonia team. Can Bequia continue their survival push against the South Leeward outfit?
I think they can continue, but I will go on with another draw here. Just because I believe Camdonia is one of the most stubborn teams in the league. Nigel Charles and the rest at the back are very solid. And as you said earlier with Caruso, very annoying to play against because every time Charles or Denny or whoever is talking about a clearance or something, Nigel Charles is in front of it, whether it's from a corner or from open play, So, he's a defensive giant, and I think Bequia would struggle getting past that. With that being said, though, I think opportunities would present themselves to Bequia, but I don't think it would be enough. And I settle in for 1-1 draw here too, bro.
Yeah, I really want to see Bequia do well. They're only 1 point off of Hope. We'll come on to Hope next. Any points that they can get at this stage will be very, very much valuable to them. As mentioned, Camdonia defeated them 5 goals to 1 in the last fixture, so they'll definitely have that result on their mind. The form that they're currently in, I could see them definitely troubling Nigel Charles and the likes at the back. But I could also say the same for Chelsea because their forwards have certainly clicked in together over the past few weeks and they've been scoring. They were held the 0-0 in the last game, but just thinking about the System 3 game and the way that Luke and the likes of Miller performed in that game is making me very wary for Bequia in this one. Also, Camdonia aren't mathematically safe either. So they would be looking at this game as an opportunity to secure their place in the Premier Division for another season. And as a result of that, unfortunately for Bequia, I'm going to go for a 2-0 Camdonia victory here. 2-1. 2-1. I could see Bequia getting on the score sheet. So 2 goals to 1 to Camdonia over Bequia. Move on to Besco Pastures, who will take on Hope International. This is a meeting of 6 versus 8. Last meeting was also a goalless draw. So who handles the pressure better in a crucial clash, especially for Hope?
I'm gonna say Hope. As much as we haven't, seen the hope that we know, the hope of all for the course of this season, I believe that they still have that experience and the experience around the team, to just give them some guidance and some insight on how to approach games like this. And they do have the quality. Valo is back and has been scoring and in fine scoring form when you compare to this part of the season to the earlier parts. So that those are the positives for Hope. And I feel with just because of that extreme pressure, while Besco is still in the relegation battle as well, they are not necessarily out of it, but the goal difference have them a bit safer than some. I believe Hope will just edge them out in this one with 1 goal to 0.
This is gonna be a very, very interesting game because keep in mind at this stage, Hope would already know what took place in the Bequia versus Camdonia game. So they would already know if Bequia are in front of them at that stage or whether Bequia have tied with them at that stage or if Bequia remain behind them at that stage. So I could definitely see the result of the Bequia versus Camdonia game affecting the way that Hope play. Because, for example, if Bequia is to defeat Camdonia and jump ahead of Hope and drop Hope into the relegation zone, that game against Pastures will be a game of immense pressure and a lot of pressure with just 2 games to go because
Mhm.
you're going into that game now in the relegation zone versus a very very dangerous Pastures team, and you know that if you lose or even draw this game, that you can be in relegation zone. So the result of the Camdonia versus Bequia game will have a lot to tell in this game. But while making this prediction, we don't know how that game is going to go. So I'm just gonna go based off of these two teams, and I could see this playing out in another draw. Another draw, very frustrating for Hope, but it would be a point gain for Besco Pastures and probably be
Safety.
that should be enough for them to be safe. So I could see the game playing out in a 1-1 draw, which will definitely frustrate Hope. Whatever the result of Bequia's game, a draw will definitely frustrate Hope. So I'm going to go for a 1-1 draw. Move on to Layou versus Avenues United.
Do we have to?
The last time these teams to met, Layou won by a score of 8 goals to 0. Um, Layou, can they continue their attacking form against Shaquille Chandler and Avenues? Go. I'm sorry for laughing, my brother, but you're in a bad position there, bro. Yo, didn't catch the start of the Avenues game against Bequia, but when we tuned in and realized that Shaquille Chandler was their goalkeeper, it certainly was a tale of Avenues season. So,
Yeah,
what's your prediction for
I think
Layou?
it's more the same. Like you are going to really demolish avenues. Nothing left to play for. Already know that they're relegated. You would just be, fighting still, hoping that something incredible happens in the not Leo fixtures and beyond. But yeah, straightforward victory for Liu here, bro.
Yeah, I'm looking at the goal scoring, the most goals chart, and I could see currently that Ledgerwood has 9 and Mingo has 11. Kit Cunningham of System 3 has even caught up with Mingo and 11 as well. So I would definitely see this game as an opportunity for the likes
It's
of
not bad.
Mingo and Ledgerwood to get their goal tally up, to at least be second place behind Salomon, who is running away with it on 23 goals at the moment. So I could see another big, big win for Layou here, and I'll go another huge scoreline, 7 goals to 0. And that's not outrageous.
No, it's
That's not outrageous based on what we've seen from Avenues and Layou thus far this season. So the final fixture of game week 16 will see champions elect System 3 come up against former champions Mount Leeward Predators. And how poetic is it that System 3 can confirm their status
Mhm.
as champions against the team that were champions last season? So, can Predators delay System 3's title celebration as they only need a point to secure that crown?
While I do rate the quality of the Nollywood Predators, I don't think that they would be able to pull it off in this game. Century, knowing that they all they need is a point, I think they would be riding high and wouldn't want what happened in the last game against Predators to happen again, and would like to assault their dominance early. The quality that they have again in attack, the way how they create big chances, as again undeniable, and it's hard to look past. So I'm going to go with a system 3 victory this time. We just flipping the winner and keeping the scoreline 2-1.
Okay. I also cannot see Predators delaying the title celebrations. And as mentioned, it is very much poetic that they're going to dethrone the defending champions in a head-to-head clash. It's very much like System 3. We spoke to them coming into the season, and their focus was always on getting this title, and they're one step away from doing so. When we spoke to the players, they all spoke about how they wanted to face the Predators in terms of the team that they would like to face the most. And this has come to fruition. They lost to them in the first fixture of the season, and they literally have the opportunity now to clinch the league title against the team that a lot of the players that we spoke to wanted to face coming into the season. So it's very much set the stage for System 3's coronation on Sunday at Brighton, and we're looking forward to it. So I'm going to go for a System 3 victory in convincing fashion, I would say. 3 goals to 0, and Javin Sutherland as a bonus prediction getting himself on the score sheet as well. So congratulations are in order very soon for System 3 after their dominant league campaign, of course led by the excellent Azino Salomon up front. So before we go, we just wanted to do our weekly shout out on the local side of things here, and I'll let Dopy take it over.
All right, guys. So, we do our thing. I always like to highlight excellent performances, especially from Vincentians. So we want to shout out Kyle Lawrence of the Shoutouts Sports Club, who took home the men's 100-meter dash at the Whitsuntide Games that took place in Grenada over the weekend with a time of 10.45 seconds. Also want to shout out to Roy George, who ran the second fastest time in the boys under 1500 prelims and ran even stronger in the finals with a 11.16 finish to take the gold medal. And there's one more youngster I want to shout out by name. His name is Ethan Kent. He captured the gold medal in the under 15 boys high jump at the same Whitsuntide Games. He was a part of the grammar school. So I just want to shout out all the athletes, give you guys your praises for the excellent performances, whether you came back with a medal or not. We are so proud of you guys and continue to put St. Vincent on the map. I believe just from viewing that we had the most athletes. We had athletes from Mustangs, High Performance, Shoutouts Sports Club, It That, the St. Vincent Grammar School, the Georgetown Secondary School, and Exceed Sports Club. I'm probably still missing a bit more clubs. There was some that I think were mentioned with St. Vincent, but I wasn't pretty sure of, like Roses and so. But seems like we had a really, really good turnout and we captured a good medal. So shout out again to all the athletes. You guys did brilliantly well. Enough respect.
Yeah, so shout out to those athletes who have done us very, very proudly at the Whitsuntide Games in Grenada that have just concluded. We want to continue to highlight local and regional sports persons here, but mostly local and our VSPL episodes, to continue highlighting their great, excellent work wherever that may be, whether it is here locally in St. Vincent, regionally in the Caribbean, or abroad, worldwide. And we will continue to do so. Also, shouting out random legends or persons who we consider sporting legends, as well as we have already highlighted Mr. Ian Sadi, Valentine, and there are much more to come. So that wraps up another edition of Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective, VSPL edition. Big thanks for everybody for continuing to support in the movement and supporting our local football coverage. We have much more in store. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Best games, the best teams, the best players, the best takes on Global Sports from a Caribbean perspective. I was your host, Shabba, and I was here with
Daps.
And until next time, one global.
Global.